right, we're back. So sorry for the delay in posting another video. Long story short, I smoked a badger on my way to the river. Anyways, before we get into the video, if you could do me a huge favor, drop a like. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So one of the most commonly asked questions that I get, what flies are in your fly box? Usually the response that I give is, it's not so much important as to what is in this fly box. Instead, what's in this box is gonna be a lot more important. So we're talking about split shot. I'm gonna split this video into 3 different parts. I'm gonna show you the fastest and quickest way to put a split shot on. I've seen some pretty crazy ways. I'll show you the easiest way to do that. Second, we're gonna talk about how the split shot affects your drift and sort of what that looks like from the fish's perspective. And we're gonna relate that specifically to fishing with midges. Third, I'm gonna show you how to sort of read some water and adjust accordingly. So basically we're gonna put everything together, we're gonna apply it, and then we'll wrap this thing up. So as I said before, I've seen some pretty insane ways of putting split shot on. This is the easiest way to do it. Roll it around until you see that little opening. Then you take the leader, you press it down into that little slot. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my middle finger and then I'm gonna take my thumb and I'm gonna pull the line down. Then I take my hemostats and I pinch it. I'm sure it's happened to you before. You're fishing, you bring your rig in, and then all of a sudden the split shot is completely gone and you're wondering why you're not catching anything. So make sure that split shot is really secured onto the leader. It's important. It's raining split shots. They're hunters, by the way. Another important concept that I kind of want to get into your head is understanding how your flies basically look. I'm gonna take a second to just kind of reframe. I think of more of a timing type of deal. Getting a good drift basically just means that your timing is good. You're casting upriver at the appropriate distance for the amount of weight that you have so that when the flies get directly in front of the fish, they're at eye level. I talked in a previous video about the wheelhouse. Basically just this little imaginary box around the fish's head, and you want to get those flies right in front of their face. Imagine this scenario. Imagine there's a fish directly in front of you. Water is maybe 3 feet deep and it's moving really slow. Well, you have the choice between a size 5 split shot that you could cast half the amount of distance as a size 9 split shot and get your flies down to depth quicker, or you could go with the size 9 split shot and get a bit more of a slower, gradual presentation. You're not gonna see a lot of flies plop into the water and then travel a straight line with the indicator only 2 feet above it. If you cast the appropriate distance upriver, when it gets right in front of the fish, it's gonna end up right in front of their face and they're gonna have the option to eat it or not eat it. And then you can decide if you should be dealing with swapping flies, swapping weights, etc. If I take my standard setup, right? Here's my indicator, top fly, and there's my bottom fly. Let's take a quick second, sort of in relation to timing, to talk about basically how our rig is gonna interact in the water. Let's say if I had 4 feet to my tippet ring, that's gonna be my actual depth. That's gonna be my real depth. Flies, the flies that you fish with on any standard tailwater, usually aren't gonna have a lot of weight to them. So they're actually gonna plunge behind the split shot. Your flies are gonna sink in that direction. Flies meet their terminal depth, which is basically just the maximum distance between your indicator and your split shot. They're gonna travel more linear to the split shot. Your indicator is gonna be way up here, and what's gonna happen is these 2 flies are gonna follow behind something sort of like a right angle. The reason I bring this up is because it's important for your timing. Now, if you were to factor in the extra foot that you have between your tippet ring and your top fly, and then another foot between your top fly and your bottom fly, well, then you have 2 extra feet to account for. So if you say, okay, this water looks like it's about 6 feet deep, the fish are hugging bottom, I'm gonna slide my indicator up to about 4 feet, and then I have a foot here and then a foot here. You're gonna be about 2 feet above those fish still. Flies are gonna ride right behind it. They're not gonna go underneath necessarily. Now that may vary depending on the type of current that you're fishing. Those things are unpredictable, but that's something to take into account specifically when you're approaching a deeper body of water or even something that's a little bit faster. Want to do now in real time, I'm going to take the camera, I'm going to bring you guys with me. We're going to kind of go over some of these adjustments, you know, depending on the type of water that we're given. Let's start looking for something to fish. The river's pretty open because it's the middle of January right now. Let's get after it. All right, I was making my way down, ran into this guy. All right, so I'm gonna walk you guys through what my setup is gonna look like right here. So I'm thinking this water behind me is about 4 feet deep, usually a little bit higher, but since the river's so low, it's probably only about 4 feet deep. Anyways, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go 4 feet from my indicator to my tippet ring. There, I'm gonna use a size 5 split shot along with a size 8, accounting for the depth, accounting for the amount of weight that we need. As long as I'm casting far enough upriver, my fly should get pretty close to the very bottom of the river here, because that's kind of what I want this to do. I want this fly to crawl on bottom. So let's see what happens. Got my fix of the fast water. Let's keep looking around. Let's go find some, I don't know, maybe some shallow water or some slow water. So in this body of water right here that we're about to fish, it's a little bit slower. You can see a little bit further towards the top. In the middle, it's gonna be a little bit quicker, but I think most of those fish are gonna be sitting on the inside of that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my split shot off. I'm gonna fish 2 single midges and just keep it real light. All right, I think we're just gonna wrap things up. Just wanted to show you guys real quick, just kind of, you know, what this all looks like. Thanks, Wyatt, for coming out. It was just kind of a coincidence we saw each other out here. But before we go, I want to say thank you to everyone that fished with me this year, or I'm sorry, this past year. Very busy season. It was an awesome time, and looking forward to the future. So see you then.